Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a collab video with my good friend Samantha from Books with Samantha. We are both sharing some vampire romance book recommendations today, so once you've finished watching my video, make sure to go and check out Samantha's video for more recs. If you're in the Halloween mood and you just want to read some paranormal stuff, or you just really love vampires like I do, then I've got you covered with some of my favorite vampire romances, starting off with probably the most iconic vampire romance series. It's the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward. Like, if you think about a vampire romance book, you probably think of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Whether you've read it or not, this book is such an icon within the paranormal romance world, and for good reason, because there are so many good books within the series. There are a million books in the series by now, but I did want to highlight some of my favorite ones. Book 1, Dark Lover, is definitely one of my favorites. I mean, it's the book that started it all, right? This is Wrath and Beth's book. Wrath is a vampire. He is the leader, the king of the Black Dagger Brotherhood, and Beth, his mate, is half human and half vampire. She grew up in the human world, so obviously she had no idea that vampires existed. So it's this whole journey of getting to know vampires, the Black Dagger Brotherhood, the city of Caldwell. It's just such a great start to a fantastic series. Book 2, Lover Eternal, is my particular favorite of the whole series, just because of how much I love Rage, the hero. He is a total sweetheart, so charming and funny, but he also has a darker side to him, because in his book he is cursed with having this beast inside of him, like a literal beast. The heroine is human, Mary is a cancer survivor, and the romance is so angsty and so romantic just because humans aren't supposed to know about the whole vampire world, but Rage loves her anyway. And also, I love the fact that Rage's beast can only be calmed by Mary. Book 3, Lover Awakened, is also a classic one in the series. I'm pretty sure most people love this one the most. It is also really high up there for me. I love Zadist and Bella's romance. This book is the first one in the series where both the main characters are full vampires. Zadist is another member of the Black Dagger Brotherhood, and he is the most tortured one out of all the guys, mostly because he was a sexual slave for this abusive woman. So he has a lot of trauma to deal with, but in his story he ends up saving the heroine from the bad guys, the lessers, and they feel a connection, but because of his past he can't really do anything about it. He is such a tortured hero. His story is so heartbreaking, but the romance was so beautiful. Another one of my favorites in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series is Book 5, Lover Unbound. This is Vicious and Jane's book. I feel like if you read this book, you either love V or you hate him, and I'm obviously on the love side. He is such an ass, but I love him. And Jane is such a fantastic heroine. She is this doctor, a badass doctor. She is crazy smart and headstrong and the perfect match for Vicious. So this is another one of my favorites. I love the little angst that we get here, and I actually love to reread this one. Okay, one more Black Dagger Brotherhood recommendation before I move on to other books and other series. My last favorite book in the series is Lover at Last, book 11. This is the first romance in the series. It is angst heaven, and this couple had been teased for like 5 books before they actually got their romance, so the anticipation for this book was insane. I adore this one though. The angst hurt so good. We have a hero who is out and proudly gay, and the other hero has a lot of internal issues about being interested in men. So for multiple books there's been so much push and pull, and the thing is, these two are like good friends too. So it's friends to lovers with so many ups and downs. I do recommend that you read the series in order though, especially to get to this couple, because you get a lot of background in the previous books about them, and you see like little snippets of the beginnings of their relationship and romance. Next up, I'm recommending the Dracula Duet by Karina Halle. Book 1 is Blood Orange. This series is of course about Dracula, but there's a little reincarnation twist to this vampire romance, which I love. I love a good reincarnation story. The hero is a vampire, and hundreds of years years ago he found the love of his life, but unfortunately she got murdered right in front of him. Throughout the centuries though, his love gets reincarnated, but she never actually stays alive. She always ends up dying. Now in present day, the vampire hero, he is in Italy working as a music professor, and the heroine is one of his new students, and she is another reincarnation of his past love, but she has no idea that she is. She keeps getting these memory flashes of this past life, but she doesn't recognize anything. And in this new life of hers, she is a witch. So this is a vampire witch paranormal romance, and her job now is to find a way to kill him. The whole duet is hot and messy, and it's got this gothic feel to it, especially with the whole setting of Venice, Italy. You get to learn about this underground vampire world that's set in this beautiful city, and the chemistry between the main characters is so hot. Some more of my favorite vampire romances are part of the Guild Hunter series by Nalini Singh. I know the series is mostly about angels and archangels, but there are a couple of vampires sprinkled here and there. First up, the first vampire romance in the series is book 4, Archangel's Blade. This is Dimitri's book. Dimitri is the second in command for an archangel. He is almost 1,000 years old, so he's a very, very powerful vampire. The heroine is a guild hunter, but she recently got brutally attacked and she almost died, so she has a lot of PTSD from that. Dimitri is not much help with this because he is the definition of dark and dangerous. The romance is so good though. It is a little bit slow just because of the trauma that the heroine has, and the hero, he had a family he loved and lost hundreds of years ago, and he's still not over it, but he's slowly learning to love again thanks to this heroine. It's super romantic and wonderful, and if you love romances where both the main characters are kick-ass, then you'll love this one. Archangel's Viper is another vampire romance in the Guild Hunter series. This is Venom and Holly's romance. Venom is a vampire who works under Dimitri, and Holly was sort of taken in by Dimitri after she was brutally attacked and forced to turn into a vampire. It's enemies to lovers. These two hate each other. They do not get along. It is wild with so much good banter. It's a lot of fun, but it does have some darker elements to the story that make it just so addicting to read. So the whole Guild Hunter series is great. It's not a complete vampire romance series, but there are some good vampire romances in it. I'm also recommending a fantasy romance series with some vampires in it. It is the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a high fantasy series, and there are different kinds of vampires in these books. There's like the Atlanteans that drink blood, the Ascended that also drink blood. They're just not specifically called vampires. They have different names for them. But even though they're not officially vampires, I'm still counting it because they drink blood. It's such a fun and addicting series. There's a lot of twists and turns, plenty of action. The romance is great. You'll definitely fall in love with Poppy and Cass. I won't say too much about them just because there's too many big spoilers for the whole series, but these books will suck you in and you won't want to stop reading. So if you're more of a fantasy type of reader but you still want to read vampires, then this is a great combination of both. I also have to include an OG vampire romance author, Janine Frost, and I'm recommending her Night Prince series. She has a bunch of different series in the whole Night Huntress world, but the Night Prince series is my favorite of hers. I love these books, and the hero, Vlad, is inspired by Dracula. It's such a fun and entertaining series. The heroine, she is human, but she also has some special powers because she got hit by lightning when she was younger. It left her body scarred, but it also left her with the ability to channel lightning and see a person's memories through touch. Oh, and Vlad also has his own special ability. He has the power of fire. He can control fire, so both of these main characters have some cool abilities. The romance starts off with the heroine getting kidnapped by these vampires who want to use her. She calls the hero for help and he saves her, but he wants something in exchange. So they make a deal and she ends up living with him in his Romanian castle because of course he is Dracula. They are basically roommates in this giant castle. We have this dark and broody vampire hero, a heroine who couldn't give two shits about that. So I just adore them so much. Another one of my favorite vampire romances is Until the Sun Falls from the Sky by Kristen Ashley. This one is a very very different and unique vampire romance. The heroine is part of this family that lives to serve vampires. The heroine is a rebel though. She really wants nothing to do with serving vampires, but she's forced to go with her selection where a vampire will claim her. The one who ends up claiming her is the hero, who is one of the most powerful vampires in their world, and he has been eyeing her for a very long time. He is very alpha and very possessive, but if you've read Kristen before, if you've read any of her books, then you know the type of hero she can write. This one just happens to be a vampire as well. It worked really well, surprisingly. The hero is very pushy and domineering, but the heroine pushes right back. When she's forced to be with him, when he claims her, it gets very passionate and wild. They constantly go head to head and it's really fun to read. It also gets very romantic with how hard these two fall for each other. This one, it can be read as a standalone. It's the first book in the 3 series, but you do get to see a lot of this couple in the future books. I also have to include one of my all-time favorite paranormal romance series, the Immortals After Dark series. This series has all sorts of different paranormal creatures, and there are vampires, of course. I have 2 of my favorite vampire romances in the series to recommend today. First up is book 4, Dark Needs at Night's Edge. This is my favorite of the Roth Vampire Brothers books. This is Conrad's book, and he ends up falling for a ghost. The heroine is this ballerina who got murdered over 100 years ago, and she has remained in this mansion. She haunts this mansion as a phantom. Conrad is the brother who went a little bit crazy, and his brothers have forced him to live on his own for a little bit to calm himself down, so they force him into this mansion where the heroine is living, haunting. And it's so funny because at first the hero thinks that he is going a little bit crazy. Like, he doesn't know why he's seeing this very hot ghost around this mansion. He's all tortured about it, and he's all tortured about the bad choices that he's made in his past. But they slowly come to realize that she can see her, and she finally finds someone who she's able to communicate with. The romance is so sweet, so heartwarming, and I mean, it's pretty interesting to find out how they can get together when she's a ghost and non-corporeal, but it's great. I always love Kresley Cole. This next favorite vampire romance is my favorite book in the whole Immortals After Dark series. It's Lacey. This is a book where the hero was a villain throughout the series until he finally gets his own book, and the wait is so worth it. It is hilarious and so much fun because Lacey, he is one of the most powerful and one of the oldest vampires in this world, and he finds his mate in this Appalachian bumpkin girl. They couldn't be more different, but they are so perfect together. Lothair is honestly a fan favorite, and for good reason. There's just something about him that you can't help but love, and he also cracks you up like crazy. It is a bit farther in the series though. It's like book 11 or 12, but I promise the wait for his book is completely worth it. And then the final vampire romance recommendation that I have is the first book in a series that I still need to finish, but I love this first book. It is Dark Fae by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. This is book 1 in the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac series. It is a reverse harem series. Why choose? The heroine is a vampire, which is why I'm calling this a vampire romance. She has 4 heroes. There's a dragon shifter, a lion shifter, a basilisk, and a harpy, all 4 very interesting and different paranormal creatures. It's set in this college for paranormal kids. The 4 heroes are like the leaders of their different sections. The heroine originally was not going to attend this school, but she decides to infiltrate it to find out who murdered her brother. She believes that one of these 4 guys, one of these 4 kings, killed him, so that's why she gets close to all of them, but they all end up falling so hard for her. It's a pretty wild book. There's a lot going on here, and you have all these different character point of views, but they meshed really well. Like, you have the more humorous characters like the lion shifter. The harpy is more on the dark and brooding side, and all the guys bring something different to the romance with the heroine, and I couldn't help myself but enjoy it. So it was great. It's the first book in this 5-book series. I've still only read this first one, but it was a great start to the series, and I really need to continue with the rest. And that's it. Those are some of my favorite vampire romance books. Let me know your thoughts if you've read any of them, or if you have any of your own recommendations. I would love to hear them because I do love a good vampire romance. Don't forget, go and check out out Samantha's video on some more vampire romance recs. As always, links to everything will be down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!